So here's new material. No, so somebody says Staghorn calculus. That's a really good thought, but let's look at it a little closer. Let's look at patient A. Can you see the catheter here? And then this is contrast in the ureters. And actually, this is another catheter, isn't it? And so there's contrast in the pelvic system, in the renal system, in the pelvis and the calyces. And there's contrast over here in this ureter and the catheter here. So this is a pilogram. And A is a retrograde pilogram because the contrast is getting through the urethra and the bladder and that way up. It's a retrograde pilogram. So, like I said, there's probably going to be one contrast question on there, on your lab final, and it's going to be straight definition.
Okay. Isn't the right ureter blocked because it's very, very thick?
Yeah. So what's happening when they do these studies, they do them to assess are there any blockages, and you can see that the ureter on the patient's right side is very dilated. So there's a problem with the with the right kidney and the collecting system there. There's some chronic inflammation, chronic obstruction. Now let's go to patient B. Again, you can see outline of the kidneys and the ureters, and they drain straight into the bladder, but we don't see a catheter. So this is what they call an intravenous pilogram, IVP. So the contrast got there through an IVP, intravenous injection. So when you get this question on your lab final, you've got to look for the catheter, because the catheter is what's giving it away. If you see the catheter is retrograde, it means the contrast got in there via the catheter. And you can just imagine how painful that is.
Abbreviation is IVP for intravenous.
And the IVP, intravenous pilogram, the contrast got there via IV. So when the patient goes in for an intravenous pilogram, they usually have a CT scan done with it instead of x-rays, but they go into the CT suite. They set up the, the IV in the arm, usually, and then they inject the contrast, and 2, 3, 4 minutes later, you can see this outline already. So they start scanning it very quickly because the blood is very efficient at pumping and getting it through.
How long does it take to do this?